Are you all in? No matter when I have a bad day, just having that one client go, you made a difference in their life. Okay, this is why I'm getting up again tomorrow. They come 4 mornings a week, consistently every morning, and part of it's the community, but part of it, they're like, my joints are gonna hurt if I don't come. I feel better when I come. She initially lost like 89 pounds with us, and it was those little things that you're more than just weight loss or transformation, but having a client finally realize it's not about the scale, but it's about composition.
Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast. Today's guest is Sara Manning, and Sara has been serving the Fit Body Bootcamp brand for over 12 years. As one of the original Fit Body locations, their program has served and supported thousands of clients in their local community in the pursuit of optimal health, mind, body, and spirit. Sara started her journey with Fit Body after moving to New Hampshire with her husband and 2 young children. After working a full-time job for many years, she then transitioned into the role of a full-time mom, but then searched for her purpose. She started as a Fit Body Bootcamp client, and within a year, she fell in love with the mission and started as a part-time coach. Today, she serves as the head coach for their Westminster location. But then in 2020, the unthinkable happened, and the owner and leader, Lisa, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. During this time, Sara supported the opening of Lisa's second location in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, all while navigating COVID and its many challenges in the functional fitness and wellness space. Through it all, she served as an anchor for both the Westminster and West Lebanon locations. Today, Sara prioritizes her growth and development and is particularly drawn to correctional exercise. She has an immense passion for helping others, and I'm so excited for her to share her journey with you guys today. So welcome, Sara, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting.
Yes, this is exciting. And prior to our episode, I was like, we've already been connected on social media for a while, but I was just looking through some of your social media posts over the years. And it truly is amazing to see your evolution with the brand, because I've only been with the brand for 6 years. You've been double that. You've been with the brand for 12 years. And so you have seen all of the changes they've made. You've been a part of the evolution, and it's grown so much over the last 12 years. But before we get there, I want to go back to, because prior to us starting the episode, we were talking about our kids and just scheduling, and how I have 2 young children, and hers are older now, but she still remembers what that's like. And so when you started your venture with Fit Body, you were a mom, you had quit your 9 to 5, you decided to stay home, embrace motherhood, but then you were looking for something else. And I want you to try to remember, and I'm sure you can, what your life was like during that time, because so many of our clients can relate to that. Like, whether they have a corporate job or not, it's like, as a mom, you do feel like your identity changes so much, and we're all just trying to find our place. And so I'd love for you to touch on that and what your life was like when you started as a client.
So my life as a client, when I started, my kids were really young, and I was thrown into this being an at-home mom. And I have to give kudos to at-home moms. Not that I ever thought it was going to be easy, but I quickly learned that I needed something for me. And I think also moving to a whole new town with 2 little ones, I needed to find a community.
Mm.
And the way I actually found Fit Body was I joined a few gyms that had like childcare, but I don't know if this ever happened to anybody else, but either my kids would get cranky in childcare or they would get sick. And then I ended up missing my workout anyway, or something would happen and trying to even getting them ready to go to the gym with me. Next thing I know, I missed the session or the class.
Mm.
So I realized quickly that wasn't working. And then I was trying to work out at home because I realized it was something I needed to be a good mom. I needed to get my mind right. And for me, physical activity was one thing that really helped. But once again, I'm sure everybody can feel this. Your kids are like, mom, okay, let me just do this one more bicep curl. I'll be right
Yeah.
there. And you're trying to navigate it all. And that's when someone introduced me to Fit Body. And it was kind of a joke between me and my husband because I was never a morning person. But I found if I went at 5:30 in the morning, even when my son was an early riser, my husband could handle it. Give him a snack, sit him up in the high chair. I could get my workout in and get home.
Mm.
And so, but I had no income at the time. So I really had to sit down with my husband and go, I know our budget's tight right now, but is there any way we can fit this in? Because I truly need this. And I have to thank my husband for being a great support. And we just figured it out because it truly was an outlet for me as a mom to be a better mom.
Mm.
And we joke that when I was growing up, we called it hyperactivity. I could pretty much tell you I probably have some form of ADHD. So um, that's probably why I needed the physical outlet. So it was just really helpful to have some place that not only I could work out, but then you had that community. It wasn't just Lisa looking for me. If I didn't show up at 5:30 a.m., there were campers who were like, "Where were you?" Gary would be like, I was here. Why didn't you show up?" "Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta go." And that was just awesome to finally have that for me beyond just taking care of my kids or my husband. So that's how I first found Fit Body, which yeah, it definitely helped change my life, obviously, because 12 years, here I am.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that people knew when you weren't there and they were asking like, "Hey, where are you?" And one thing I have found in my journey starting as a client as well and then becoming an owner is that like you feel sometimes in life whether you're dealing with young children or it doesn't matter where you're at in your life. Sometimes you feel like your struggles are your own struggles and no one else has those. Like you feel so alone in it and like, I mean, I'm going to give you an example. Last night, I got a terrible night's sleep. I don't know what it was. Like, nobody woke me up last night. For once, no kids woke me up, but I had a terrible night's sleep. But I still really wanted to go to boot camp this morning. So I did because I made that commitment with myself. I knew I had a busy day and it was going to be my only time. So I went to the 6:15 a.m. session. And once I got there, I was like working out with one of our members, Elizabeth, and she was like, "Yeah, my son was up all night." But like, she was still there. And I was thinking to myself, gosh, I needed that more than I needed the workout because I needed to know that I wasn't alone today, that I wasn't alone in my struggles. And I think that that's something that I found first with Fit Body, and it sounds like similar to you, is that sense of community. And I couldn't find that anywhere else. And to be able to show up somewhere where everyone was like, "Girl, your problems, like I have that problem too." And I mean, maybe it's not the same, but they're dealing with something else. And it just kind of humbles you a little bit. And you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm not alone. I'm in this with other people and they're here for me."
Yes, it's so true. And that's definitely something I think as a mom, you kind of have those ongoing struggles like, am I not doing this right? Or am I putting much time in myself? Should I put more time in them? And to have
Yeah.
other people that can relate just makes it so nice. And your people, not just your kids' people,
Yeah.
but your people.
Exactly, exactly. And to your point as well, like with the child not having childcare at Fit Body when you started at Fit Body, I go back and forth with I want to take my kids to the gym with me because sometimes it's not convenient to leave the house and leave them like with my husband or a babysitter. But then other times it's nice just to have that time for yourself. And it is only 30 minutes. And to like have that time where like clear head space, you're alone, you can just focus on you. Every mom needs that, no matter how old your kids are. Like you need that alone time sometimes.
Yes, it's very true.
Yeah. Okay, so you started as a client. You were just you loved Fit Body so much, so then you decided to become a coach. Talk to us about that transition from client to coach.
So it's so funny how different it is now with FitBuy, and I definitely think this is something that they are nailing. But when I started, I was just in a session, I was really enjoying it, and Lisa was about to go on vacation. And I see her on her phone and trying to navigate all these things. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, oh, I have to barter. So next week when I come back from vacation, I got to go to this gym and this gym and this gym because they're going to all sub for me. And I looked at her, I'm like, wait, so you need a sub? And I was like, well, what do I need to do that? I could figure that out. And so at first just started to sort of help her out and not have her just be on her own. So I found the closest personal training certification because there wasn't the connection with NASM. So it was NITA. So it was going to be a few towns away. It was in a month. So I quickly grabbed the course, which I will say part of my part of my major was a bio major. I was a marine biology major, so it did help me to study for some of the personal training,
Mhm.
not all of it because it's not an invertebrate, but um, it helped me to be able to take on that course. So then I came back, took that course, and just went right into subbing for her. And not that I expected it to be easy, but it was much more challenging than I had expected.
Mm.
And part of it was actually gaining the respect of the clients because here was Lisa coming from all this experience, and all they knew was in a month, I got my personal training certification, and there I am on the floor, right?
Right.
And that's all they knew. And of course, they all wanted Lisa. And so I remember showing up because she finally gave me a session. And I went to teach my session, and 3 people showed up. And it went on that way for like a couple weeks. And I went into Lisa and I said, really, you should fire me because this isn't worth it. I should just be a sub. It's not worth me coming in here. And she just said, no, I'm telling you, I believe in you and this is going to work and we will
Mhm.
get you to where people come in. And I just think about it now being the head coach and how many people come to our sessions and how now Fit Body has intern on people's shirts, how they have a process to bring someone in. So the coach is almost navigating them into that role. So you're navigating your clients to embrace them
Mm.
versus trying to then sort of get your clients on board.
Right.
And so that's definitely something I've seen change for a lot of the better than
Yeah,
when I
that's
started.
that's worth elaborating on a little bit and mentioning to our listeners because I too have seen some of the changes they've made over the last 6 years in my ownership journey. I wouldn't say that like when we first started, there was a training program. There was like a 6 to 8 week program in which you needed to put your coaches through. But even since then, it has changed so much. Well, now it's like we have a 12-week coaching playbook and we do have coaches that start as interns. And I have experience with that. Like we had some college students at our local university that they were studying either to be physical therapists, occupational therapists, or they were in a nutrition field and they needed an internship. And what they ended up doing is working for us a few days a week. And then they loved it so much that after they graduated, some of them, if they stayed local, they would become a part time coach for us. And to your point about the clients kind of like getting warmed up to them and getting acclimated, I will say that that has helped so much versus just, hey, here's the new coach. Here's new coach Sarah. I'm no longer going to be here because I have to work down the street. Hope you guys like her. And it's like, who is this lady? And there's nothing, I know as a client, there's nothing worse than that than showing up and it's like the people you're used to being with, they're not there. And you're like, who is this person? And so gaining that know, like, and trust factor is huge across the brand. And they have, to your point, done such an incredible job coming up with like coaches' playbooks, starting as an intern, your first 90 days, developing into a coach. Then maybe you develop into like a head coach or facility leader role. You're not just thrown into the wolves, thrown into the fire from day one, but trial by fire, sometimes it's the quickest way to learn, it's the quickest way to grow. And it sounds like you did great at it, and here you are 12 weeks, 12 years later.
Yeah. It's also fascinating when I started with the brand, they were like, get exercise scientists majors. And obviously I wasn't. I'm a marine biology theater major, actually.
Right.
And then, and that was what we found out at our first Fit Body before it was a franchise. We went to Costa Mesa and it was a small little conference, Fit Body
Yeah.
conference back then. And they were like, go to your local schools, get your exercise science majors. And then I think it was like 5 years later, they're like, go to the theater department, get theater majors, broaden your spectrum, because you may find that gem who it doesn't necessarily know the science, but you can teach them the science. Just like sometimes you can't teach them how to be with people.
Mm,
And as we all know, it's with, especially with any kind of fitness, it's more than just physical. It's
yeah.
emotional, it's mental. And like we've discussed as a parent, some days it's not that you can't physically do it, it's that you mentally are struggling.
Yeah.
And that's where having that coach, having that comrade at your
Mhm.
fit body makes such a huge difference. And so it is about people skills, not just knowing where your hamstring is and where your scapula is.
Right.
So it was just funny how things had changed in 5 years. And again, one thing I would say I love about the brand, which is probably why I'm still here 12 years later, is how much growth that they've done. They'll own their mistakes,
Mm,
but they'll also come back and try and make things better.
yeah. Yeah. And to that, being that I've only been with the brand half of the time that you have, they do a great job of keeping up with the trends and quickly taking action when they see fit. But sometimes the action that's taken, it might not be the right step. It might not be the right choice. But they do say, okay, we tried. And this is what we tried. And this is why it didn't work. So now we're going to go do this. And I think there's something to be said about a brand that does that versus just keeps doing the same thing over and over, because that's how you become irrelevant real fast. And in this industry, we know that, fitness right now, people need us more than ever. And it's really funny when I started, like, side note on that, when I started as an owner, when I first started out, my biggest thought was, I hope another gym doesn't open down the road. Like, I hope we never have a competitor. And you'd be terrified as an owner to think, like, what if somebody comes and steals all my clients? And now I laugh at that. I laugh at that mindset that I used to have, because I don't care if another fitness studio opens down the road. It brings more awareness to our industry. And if they don't have a good experience at that gym, somebody new goes and tries out that gym, they're going to come try out Fit Body next. And like, people need us. And because we are in this space, sometimes we do like fall victim to the fact that we think everybody is in this space. But no, there's like most people, they're not. Most people are not into taking care of themselves, and they need us now more than they've ever needed us before. And that's going to lead me into my next question, because in reading your bio and learning more about you, you were with the brand when you lost the owner, the original owner of your location. She passed away to her battle with cancer. And then you also went through COVID, and there was so many challenges just lumped in together at the same time. And I want to break that into two, but I want to start with finding out about her diagnosis, and like, as a team and as a community, what your feelings were and what you guys thought was going to happen versus what happened.
She was really brave. And even when she got her diagnosis, it wasn't how much time do I have left? What's what do we have to get done just in case? There was never any of that.
Mm,
But at that time that she got her diagnosis, she had also had this dream of having more than one location. And I think it was like literally a month before she found out that her cancer had returned, that she had found the perfect place for her second location, which was in West Lab. And I think she asked almost all the members of the team, what do you think? Because this is going to take me away from here. We also landed the perfect head coach slash integrator to take on West Lab, which was truly a blessing, because things happen for a reason, right?
right.
We were at some, I think actually it was a cancer for breast cancer awareness um, in West Lab, and I happened to be at a table, and Patty just kept coming back over and asking more questions and asking more questions. And so here Lisa had this perfect person, the perfect location with owners that were going to work with her, like like rent the space. And it was like, what do we do? And the whole team was on board. Okay, we make it work. We'll figure it out. And that's how I think we did everything
Mm.
through it. And once the location opened, so things were pretty much in check with her treatments. It wasn't, unfortunately, till later during COVID that they got even worse. But again, I think we just all came together behind the vision that we knew she had, and just collectively as a team just went all in.
Yeah. Mm. I love that. You just kept that sense of community and you were there for each other. And I love how open that your teammates are, how you guys communicate openly like that versus her just making these decisions on her own and, of course, doing the best thing for the team. But instead, she involved you all in the decisions that she made because she knew the impact it was going to make not only on her life, but on yours, and that she was going to need your support.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that
Yeah.
was definitely, I mean, I'm so glad that she did it because who knew what was going to follow.
Right.
But she left this world having two locations that knew her and
Yeah.
loved her, which really, that was one of her missions, her vision. So
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. So you serve as the head coach now. How many clients do you have at your location?
we're just under 300.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a big location. What do you think is the most rewarding part of being a coach over the years, over the last 12 years? What do you think is the most rewarding part?
The I think there's a couple things. Is one, what you help your clients with, but how your clients and your team help you become better.
Mm.
And since Lisa's diagnosis, I've made some changes mentally for the better. Like I was thrown into needing to wake up and really look at myself in the mirror and realize as a coach, I could definitely be there for all of them. But I realized I was taking myself on a back burner a little bit. So I had to re-look at it because in order to make that next step to be a better coach or even to be a better leader to my team, even to have a better strategy session,
Mhm.
or now I do videos to try and help motivate people. In order to do that with authenticity, I had to change me.
Mm.
And I don't think I would have done that or taken as fast a role had I not been part of this community. And then I can now see the difference, see the connections are even deeper with my clients to be able to help them get through something, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical. And so no matter when I have a bad day, it's just having that one client go, you made a difference in their life, that you go, okay, this is why I'm getting up again tomorrow. And even when you have a bad day, I know I still love what I do. I love being able to help people get better, whether it's mental, physical, um, or even just be there for a sounding board because that's what it was for me.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and taking care of yourself, like looking at the person in the mirror. I recently heard something and it was talking about professionals, like influencers in particular in the health and fitness space. There's a lot of pseudo healing going around, which means that they are telling people the process that they took in order to heal and how they're working on their own healing journey, but yet they're not really. Like they're really just telling you about it. And I have found in my journey as a coach, and even with some of the coaches that we've had working for us, sometimes we are the ones that are there for all the clients all day. And I say this a lot, like for our clients, we're just a fraction of their day. But for us, like they're our whole world. Like we think about them day in and day out, and we're with them all the time. And sometimes it's easier to tell your clients, hey, you need to take care of yourself. You need to make sure you're getting 7 hours of sleep, getting your water in, exercising, taking care of your mental health. It's so easy for us to say, rattle off all these things that other people need to do to take care of themselves. But then when we're really quiet and we're alone at home, it's like, I'm not even doing those things. And I speak from experience. Like, we have gotten really good at helping other people, but sometimes we have to look in the mirror because we are the only ones that can really help ourselves. And yes, we have a team around us that can help us and like they're with us on that journey, but all fingers are going to be pointing back to you when problems come up. Like you have to take care of yourself as a coach. Because if it's your job to take care of 300 other people, if you're not feeling 100%, it's not authentic, like you
Right.
said. And I know that coaches, we show up like that because we have to sometimes. Everybody does. Like
Right.
sometimes you have to do that. But it's good that you were honest with yourself and you realize, like, okay, this goes so much deeper. And I need to make sure that I am prioritizing my own health in order to serve everyone else.
Yeah. It definitely was a long journey to get there, but then once I got there, and it's kind of funny how things happen, but it was actually at a Fit Body Elite training that I had that aha moment, that I
Mm,
realized it was one of those things that Lisa was trying to put in my front consciousness, that I wasn't being authentic, but somehow it wasn't clicking with her. And it's something I think Bryce says all the time, are you all in? And it was just, I heard it a different way. It's kind of like when someone tells your kids the same thing you've told them over and over, but they hear it from that
right,
other person and suddenly they're drinking their water. But
right.
it was like I heard it and it was like the light bulb went off and everything just sort of came into picture,
Yeah,
that this is what I needed to do.
that's awesome. Do you have any stories over the last 12 years that would be worth sharing of transformations or any clients that have completely changed their life with taking care of themselves at boot camp?
Oh, we have so many. It's amazing. But like I'm always amazed at the people who have been with us for so long, that it's not just about them transforming their body, but then they realized if they even tried to give it up, like we had a camper just hit their 1300th session
Wow.
and they come 4 mornings a week, consistently every morning. And part of it's the community, but part of it, they're like, my joints are going to hurt if I don't come. I feel better when I come. And she initially lost like 89 pounds with us, but she's been able to consistently do it because she still comes.
Oh,
And we have another client, Lisa, who again had a big weight loss, but she's been able to keep it off and be consistent for many years after. And she still goes out to dinner. She still does
yeah.
all the things that she wants to do. But by making subtle changes, she's able to stay consistent.
Mm,
And that I'm always surprised at, because what FitBuy does really well is helping them come up with systems to be their best self, hit their goals. And although our workouts change every day, obviously I love them, but I could see how you can have clients come for X amount of years or months and then they want to try something else.
mhm.
But for some reason, this brand in of itself has this longevity because they can see the value beyond just getting to that goal. Like, what's the next goal?
Yes.
And that has been huge. And so like I thank Pam for being with us. I thank um Lisa for being with us. Those are two that come to brain. Also, I have a special place in my heart, Sandy Miller, who's literally, she just turned 70 and she's like, I'm in the best shape of my life. My doctor tells me she's just done little changes. And I just think that's freaking awesome. Like, who else wants to be able to turn around at 70 and be like, I'm in
Yes.
the best shape of my life? And I, I, I I know that the program works and that it doesn't happen overnight. But those are the people that remind me to keep doing this. Or another client, Lisa, coming the other day and being like, she's trying to lose weight, but it was really about her feeling like unsuccessful as a mom
Mm,
and being like, I just feel awful. I'm so bad at being this full-time mom. And I'm like, oh, yeah, totally can relate. And she was like, wait, really? And it was just those little things that you're more than just weight loss or
yeah.
transformation. And that aha moment. I remember we were working with, which I love the new nutrition app as well with the circles and everything. But having a client finally realize it's not about the scale, but it's about composition
Yes.
and like waiting for that scale to drop, but then all of a sudden it started, but they were also seeing their muscle increase and their fat go down, that it's not just one or the other. So I
Mm,
remember seeing Crystal working with one of our coaches, Rana, doing that. um, or we had really great success with the 10-week challenge, 10-pound challenge, and watching Chrissy and Rana work with them to see these body changes when you're losing fat, when that scale doesn't tell you what you're
yeah.
seeing. Or we had Jenny just come in and she finally finished a course that she never thought she could do, and having the support not only of her husband, but knowing when she comes into Fit Body, we're so excited that she finished her course. um, so those are the things, those are the different people that come in and make that community.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a shirt that says, health is not a number. It's a beyond the scale shirt. And I do think that, especially as someone who's had two major transformations and having two children, you can get so focused on that number on the scale. But I too have had to like have my own transformation journey and realize that it is about that body composition. And just recently I trained for a race and I was running like 30, 40 miles a week. And I got very, very thin, but I lost a lot of my definition. I lost a lot of muscle. And within the last 6 weeks, I have been putting the muscle back on. Yes, I'm sure I've gained a few pounds. I can tell. However, I also now look in the mirror and I can see some muscle definition. And like this morning, I could do pull ups. Whereas 6 weeks ago, because I was doing so much cardio, I had lost so much strength. So I couldn't do the pull ups. And
Mhm.
so, that's that right there. There's two things I'll mention. It's like, you're not always going to be in the same season of life all the time. Like if you're training for something, your body composition is going to change drastically if you're training for a marathon versus if you're strength training 4 to 5 days a week. And that's okay. But don't dial in on that number on the scale because truthfully, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if I'm 5 pounds more than I was when I was training for a race. I can now crank out a pull up and I feel good. And at the end of the day, I'm not fatigued and need like an energy drink. I feel better. And so I love that you mentioned the body composition because sometimes at the gym, we have to like almost mentally train our clients. Like, you don't
Yes.
need to get on the scale to feel good, to look good. Like, if you're looking in the mirror and you see changes, if your clothes are fitting differently, if you wake up and you have more energy, then you're making progress. Like, don't worry about that number.
It's I can totally relate to that because I actually did a marathon, decided I was going to do one, and that was last year, and I'm so glad I finished it, but I'm so glad it's done. But
Yeah.
after after I finished it, I did a little bit more running and then was like, no, I'm done. And it is amazing how my in body is completely different now.
Oh, sure.
And I joke with my chiropractor. I'm like, my body's really liking that I'm not running right now. But granted, I didn't love running. I did it because I needed a goal and I met some amazing people doing it. But I can totally understand where there's those people that need it. It's
Yeah.
their mental mojo. So I totally understand that, but my body's loving
Yes.
toning up in my in body. But yeah, I think we all go in, especially I joke that I'm a fit body fail. Not really, but to my clients, we kind of joke about it that I came at 145 pounds, wanting to be 135, the way I looked when I got married before the babies. And I'm now 145, still 12 years later, but I'm a completely different body shape. I'm a
Yeah.
completely different size. And that the scale isn't everything. And
Yeah.
that's one of those things, like when you say you went for the run, you did that. That's what it is. Like you having those relatability to clients helps them to then even reach that next goal of being like, really?
Yeah.
Like you didn't lose the weight? No, I didn't. So let's see how we can get you to the next stage. And I think that's the other thing is meeting every client where they're at.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, same with me. I was I'm very small. Like, I'm a very small person. I'm 5 foot, maybe 5'1". I think I'm starting to shrink now that I'm in my 30s. And after having kids, I don't know what's going on. Mother Nature, I guess. I don't know. And so I have always been around like 110, 115. And then as I started having kids, it was like 115 to 120. And now I'm probably 120, but my body composition is completely different than I was like 105, 110 when I got married. And I look back and I'm like, I was skinny fat. Like I know we say that at the gym a lot. Like I was small, I was thin, but I had no muscle at all. And I
Yeah.
look in the mirror now and I'm like, I feel strong. Like, I never want to be that small again. Like, I love my body composition. And to your point, like, my body is loving the strength training. And I'm loving that I don't have to work out an hour to 2 hours a day and beat my body down. I love that I can do 30-minute workouts and like I can keep showing up for those. I can stay consistent with it because consistency is the key to longevity. And that is the thing that has always drawn me back to Fit Body Bootcamp, no matter what, is the fact that, like, if you show up and you do these workouts 3 to 4 days a week and you do that every single week, there is no way that you're not going to be in good shape. Like, even if your nutrition is like, like if you're still, you're eating the veggies, but it's not 100%, if you're consistent with those workouts, I promise that you are going to feel good.
Mhm. No, it's so true. And also giving it to the workouts. Like
Yeah.
I've noticed that sometimes like people think they can just show up. It's like, "Oh no, that's what
Right.
us coaches are here for. You're not just showing up.
Yeah.
We're going to help you bring it during those workouts wherever you're at." And that's what I love is that it doesn't matter where you're at, what we may need to adjust. You're still going to get a rockin' workout and you're going to feel awesome by the end of that workout and by the end of the week.
Definitely. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing all that you have learned over the years as a coach, starting from a client, developing into a coach of 12 years with Fit Body. I know that our listeners are going to love this episode. And where can our listeners find you if they want to learn more about you and your location?
So I personally on Facebook at Sara Kohler Manning, which is like the toilets with an extra E. So it's Koehler. Also at Westminster Fit Body Bootcamp, and we have a page for that. Or on Instagram, it's actually by my email, which is on the Min Manning.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. And thank you for joining us for another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and share this episode with all of your friends. Until next time, you guys, thanks so much.